All right.
Beautiful.
So good.
Great.
So great.
It's a clap. It's a bunch of claps.
2 claps is really smart. I'm going to start doing 2 claps.
Yeah, usually 1 is like the practice round, and sometimes if it's really bad, we do 3.
You really sync up. No. You line up your shot with the first one.
Yep.
Or you come in on the track real hot and you're like, 2 claps.
2 claps.
2 claps this time. Wow.
Bow, bow.
All right.
Auto-tune kicks
On that note.
Hi, I'm Embers Tide. He, him.
I'm Matt. He, him.
I'm Haley. I use she, her.
Hi, I'm Mazz. I use they, them. And I don't have something funny to say this time because I'm not the last person.
I also don't have anything funny to say. But I'm Kate Welch, she, her. And I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me, y'all.
Woo!
Thanks you for joining us. And this is Insight Check, where we delve into the dungeons of your bad decisions and retrieve the treasures of wisdom. And don't feel bad about the decisions being bad. Most decisions are.
I love that we've been selling this podcast for over 200 episodes on the premise of us having wisdom.
Good decision. Sometimes at least having a decision, which I never have. So
I'll just dive right into it. Here's something we're going to talk about: decision making. If you are, I think I've decided in my glorious old age of 35 that if you are a leader, you sometimes make good decisions and you sometimes make bad decisions. But the trick is committing whole ass to your decision-making process and assuming that people will follow through. And if you make a bad decision, then you're like, I see this as a really good learning opportunity. And some ideas for growth that I have for the next time that we attempt something like this. You just spin it. It's all about spin, baby.
yeah, let's do a retrospective and learn.
Postmortem. Exactly.
Yes.
Postmortem.
That's just corporate speak for we made a bad decision.
Let's talk about it.
Value, folks. The value that we have unlocked.
What can we learn to lie better next time we make a bad decision?
Exactly.
That's the best thing, is the anticipation of the next bad decision.
That's true.
Well, I want to thank Kate Welch for joining us. I want to welcome Kate Welch to this episode of Insight Check.
Thank you.
And I would like to tell you, the viewer at home, viewers, listeners, haven't really figured that bit out, a little bit about our honorable guest, giver of Instagram motivational speeches, juicer of games, purveyor of design excellence, and haver of many skills, Kate Welch.
Thank you. Oh, this is nice.
This is your life. No, this is your LinkedIn.
This is an intervention.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I see. I see.
Yes.
You're reading my LinkedIn. Okay, got it. Go on.
I just want to put this all out on the table, right? So Kate is currently a senior user experience designer at WotC, previously a game designer focusing on D&D. You may have seen her stream with many eyes. You may have seen her at other D&D live events, such as The Descent. You may have seen her at conventions, conferences, live play opportunities, where she will DM, she will play, she will sometimes play in costume, she will sometimes give Q&As and advice panels in character as Rosie B. Stinger of the Penny Arcade D&D live show Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team. Also, Kate plays Yitzbin Attende on the newest season of C Team, is very strong and many of leg.
Well done.
I'm whole hog. I'm whole assing these bad decisions per your advice.
Exactly.
Already learning.
See? Kate's extensive UX design experience, been at Amazon Game Studios, been at ArenaNet, been in the front seat of a limousine as your driver, Giorgio Manos, Hands of Fate. Kate Welch, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, that was surprisingly comprehensive. I have nothing to add.
Also, Kate once gave me a green flame foam thing and I danced for her.
Yeah, you did. Was that outside in the line when me and Tristan were going around?
That was in my costume, man.
Oh yeah. Okay. Excellent. But
I've genuinely been reconsidering because I never got Pax Pox wearing that. And I've been reconsidering getting it out and wearing it at the moment so I can adequately social distance from people in my own bubble.
This is a good idea.
And it's got like the grippy arms so I don't have to touch anyone.
Yes.
There are many things that are superior about Modrons, from their orderly behavior, but also to their form for social distancing.
Maz, what costume was this? I'm not.
That was my Modron.
Did a Modron?
Mazz did a Modron for sure.
You need to see it, Matt.
You got homework now.
Yep.
Oh, man.
It's great.
I not only did a Modron, but it collapsed into a backpack so I could fly to the States with it.
You were a Modron transformer.
How did you fit in the backpack?
I'm quite short.
It just keeps getting better. So, Kate, how goes the life and times of an interplanar traveler such as yourself?
They are relatively, the station has us pretty much grounded at the moment. We haven't had a lot of liftoffs lately, and that's okay. I think that one of the interesting parts of living that, housebound hobbit life is that for some of us, there are elements of it that are better than the opposite, where people are pressuring you like, bro, let's go to a bar. And you're like, I really don't want to.
Like,
now, not only are we not allowed to, but the invitations have ceased. And I'm in
You
heaven.
have to say I can't go out because I have to wash my hair or other bad excuses
that is a
we
valid
have all given.
Thank you.
It's true.
It's a valid excuse. Do you know how long it takes this hair to dry? It's a whole thing. It's like a whole thing.
I understand. I washed my hair before this podcast so it could dry while I sit here.
Oh, that's so smart. I should have done that. But work continues apace. Luckily, Wizards of the Coast has been, I think it certainly seems like has been relatively unaffected by the current social situation. So we have not had to. We've been lucky enough that none of us, as far as I know, have lost our jobs of our own volition. We've all been healthy, happy workers, being able to work from home. We're extremely lucky that we've all been in the tech sector for so long that now working from home is pretty normal, and we've been following the examples of other tech leaders here in the area, like Amazon and Google. And so, we've all been kind of doing our thing from home, which has been lucky.
And not to try to make an overly positive spin on a global pandemic and a really challenging situation, not to diminish that, but to try to focus on some of the positives, I would also say this is probably the best era of modern civilization in which to be a dog.
It's true. We were talking about this. We were talking about this before the podcast, because at 5:00 every day when I finish working, I go for a walk and I watch people walk their dogs. I walk in the morning before work, and at the end of the day, in the morning, people look really miserable, but the dogs look really happy.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, people have children who look really happy and dogs that look really happy, and half of them still look miserable.
Oh no. Yeah, but it is a good time to be a dog. And I think that's something we could definitely discuss here on this podcast, is the pros and cons of being a dog. I think that one of the things that is a con is that dogs can't vote. And I know that that's something that you guys have probably covered thoroughly on this podcast, but I think dogs should be able to vote. I think that they have all the qualifications necessary for democracy. So once dogs can vote, I'm all for a complete transmogrification personally.
Well, in support of that concept, I can say from my anecdotal experience, I have observed several humans and several dogs. And I will say that if there is any outward way to interpret the organism's ability to make a wise-ish decision, I can recount dozens of instances where I would trust a dog over any given individual that I can recount.
Yeah, and that's one of those, like I said, that's one of those bad decisions you can make with your whole ass, is giving dogs the ability to vote. If it doesn't work out, we do a little post-mortem, we tweak it, we figure it out going forward.
Right. Exactly. What's the worst that can happen? Honestly.
Cats.
Yeah, what is the worst thing?
Voting for cats. Is that
What do
next?
dogs want more of? Walks. What do people need? Probably get out and walk around a little bit.
Probably more exercise, yeah.
What are we afraid of? They poop everywhere? I got news.
So do we.
Yep.
Yeah. It is deep.
And also,
This is a
we do
deep
know
truth.
that all dogs are very, very good pups. So
It's true.
Yeah.
The proportion of goodness within the dog community is 100%, and within the people community is not 100%. So
When you think of the long-term return on investment too, you have the opportunity for more puppies when you own a dog. If you have a child or a human who may produce a child, it's just going to be a screaming pit of financial despair for a while.
That's cheerful.
It's a pretty...
You need to write this down for your kids someday.
Yeah, you can play this episode for your children.
But also, I definitely had this conversation with my mom where she said pretty much the same thing. So I guess it's a feeling. It's definitely a mood.
And you turned out great. See, I'm with it.
Did he?
But I do want to bring put a slight coda on our discussion of give dogs the vote and stop my children from screaming, and do a little bit of a hybrid dungeon crawl where we talk a little bit about just some of the recent rabbit holes and things that have really drawn our interest in this nuclear winter of staying and working from home and watching dogs have the lay of the land. Anything that's really sort of latched on to anybody recently? Because I got one thing that I'm super hopped up about.
Well, go for
Let's hear it.
Okay, so one of my life secrets is I had like a 2-week window to dramatically impress my partner years ago. My partner was studying for they're a physician, so they're studying for big certification tests to become a physician and to be licensed in the state of Pennsylvania. And they're like, I just have to basically study for 2 weeks straight. I don't really want to make food. I don't really want to leave the house. I want to study, work, sleep, shower, the basics. And I was like, I got this. I am going to learn how to cook and produce good food that is edible by humans. And over the course of that 2 weeks, that was like a big bonding time for my partner and I actually learned to cook a lot of stuff. And there's one book that became like my Bible. It's this cook, the chef named Jose Andres, who's a Spanish-American cook / superhero. After natural disasters these days, he goes and he cooks for like hundreds of thousands of people on location post-disaster. And he made a book all about vegetable cooking. And it's the only thing I've been doing. And it's so flippin' magic. And he writes these books.
What's your favorite thing that you've cooked?
I'll tell you. It is like the simplest shit, right? Like there are 5 ingredients if you include the olive oil that you cook with. And
is this Jay's classifications again?
Oh,
no.
Please no.
We're not going there.
Okay, good.
Kate, just so you know, we have a colleague on Insight Check who thinks that all food is reducible into 6 metafoods. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, one of the metafoods is big meat.
Like big meat. Big meat is one of them.
Big meat?
Big meat.
Yeah.
Meat.
Yes.
Big
Salad.
Big meat. Chip?
No,
chip one of
taco.
them?
Was it taco?
Taco.
Was sandwich under tacos? Or was
I
it
think
See,
a sandwich
no,
is-
we cannot.
We can't go down this
cannot
path.
give him the satisfaction.
Right.
Is a Pop-Tart a ravioli?
I think
It is.
Ooh.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
but not under this. But not under this classification.
Yeah, the worst part about this classification heuristic is it's incredibly hard to break, and I'm still struggling with it. But what I will say is one of the big things in this chef's book is a tortilla, which is basically like a giant omelet, but with vegetables suspended in the omelet. And so the way that you actually cook this is the ingredients are super simple. It could just be an omelet, but the way that you cook it and the way that you set the eggs up as it's cooking is something that I've been like practicing. And when it works, it's this like ooey gooey blend of like roasted potatoes, caramelized onions, minced garlic, and like perfectly set egg. And it's like no other food I've ever tasted. So the way he writes is the way that imagine Jerry Holkins on like his dedicated fantasy trip of like Lexcalibur writing a cookbook, or like Shel Silverstein writes a cookbook, you know?
Okay, Andres. All right.
It's deeply poetic, I think. I love it. And so I'm just cooking constantly, which is bad for the food budget, but as long as I'm cooking like eggs and potatoes, not that bad for the food budget. So I recommend it. He's a good dude.
Is it Vegetables Unleashed?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Cool.
Oh my goodness. Sounds great.
He talks about tomatoes crying tears of joy.
Wowzers. All right. I'm in. I'm a fan.
It's hot to death.
So I have been spending this time in which I don't spend 3 hours of my day riding on a train to and from Boston, which is a whole 12 miles. One of my silver linings is that I have a lot more time to do things like exercise. So I've been walking and biking, trying to run again, which is great.
Yes.
When I'm not doing that, I'm really enjoying currently moving out on the Switch by Team 17 because I'm not the person that gets really angry when they play Overcooked. So this game is just like the next phase of cooperative, frustrating games.
How does that work? How do you not get
I just
switched
really
into
enjoy it.
a moment of divine rage playing Overcooked?
Yeah, I try to make Bennett play it with me, and it's like the one thing that may break him. He can only play for a small amount of time, but he knows that it is fun for me, so he'll play for a little bit. So we've been playing Moving Out together for like 15 to 20 minute intervals.
Nice.
Wait, are you like a person who thrives on stress? Because Overcooked is just stress incarnate.
Basically, the more stressful a situation is, the calmer I am. If there's nothing to be stressed out about, I will be stressed out. But if there's something to be stressed out about, I'm fine.
That's like a superpower.
Except for a pandemic. Like, that is out of my control. But if it's something I can control, like, okay, I'll just chop this meat, put it in the frying pan.
Wow. I'm truly in awe.
I learned this from working events, I think.
Being an enforcer?
And a dance competition wrangler.
Oh my goodness. I can only imagine.
Damn, I just use prescription drugs. I should try this.
No, you just get so stressed, you invert it, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you guys about what I'm into, but it's what everybody's into, and in fact, you probably have covered it already on this podcast, but
Kate, please talk about your D&D Animal Crossing room.
all I've been doing is building my D&D room in Animal Crossing.
Oh, it's so great.
If you guys have not seen this thing, it is...
I saw it the other day.
art.
It's so good.
I'm so obsessed. So Animal Crossing is also a game on the Switch. For anyone who's just been under a rock for the last 2 months, I have other news for you if you've been under a rock for the last 2 months. But mostly Animal Crossing. It has been a source of such mental health wondrousness for me. Again, this is everything that I've been saying, I feel a little bad about it because it is all coming from a place of being in like a very privileged situation where I get to keep my job, I can afford to buy a video game, and there's a lot of people out there for whom that is not true. However, for those of us who have adopted Animal Crossing as their new spouse and child, it has been the days that I spend playing Animal Crossing. There were a few days during an Easter festival that will not be named where
my gosh, Bunny Day.
I got really, really upset at Animal Crossing and I stopped playing it every day. And that, you might be like, Kate, congratulations. You moved on to something that was a little bit more productive, perhaps. You got some more exercise. You looked out at the world. No, all I did was, no, not at all. I sat looking at scrolling Instagram, trying to find literally anything else to fill the hours. And I got visibly morose. So
is that when you were starting to do all those motivational speeches on Instagram?
Yes. that was definitely my motivation, which I really loved doing. I got so many more. It's just I was like doing it at 11:30 at night, and so I had to go warn my fiance. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go scream at my phone for a while. He is, to his credit, he's been the only partner who has never judged me about my strange interactions with that are loud with the screen. And so when I stream, I don't even close the door. He can hear everything. And during those motivational speeches, I was like, I'm just going to yell at the phone for a while. And a couple of them, I don't think you could hear it, but he was like walking back and forth and he'd be like, yeah, all right. It was really sweet. Anyway. So yeah,
that's
motivational
wonderful.
speeches, but Animal Crossing, I keep setting more and more monumental tasks before myself because it's such a wonderful open world game. I'm starting to be like, is this what Minecraft players feel like? Because I never really got into Minecraft. But this game, to give me like the constraints of the terraforming and the limited number of spaces in my inventory and the fact that it all operates in real time, so I'm constrained by weather and sunlight. Oh my God, I am in hog heaven. So I've just decided recently, I built my Dungeons & Dragons basement, which you can see on Instagram, but I have also decided to completely re-terraform my island to have the exact same topography as Middle-earth. So
gasp! Oh man!
Wow!
Why?
I understand so little about this game to where I don't know if that's possible, and I wish you good luck.
It is already happening. I've got
Nice.
I've got a little mountain range that has the Misty Mountains. I've got Mordor cordoned off. And so now I just have to move everybody's houses around so that I got my cute villagers in the Shire. I'm going to try to recruit a horse villager to come live in Rohan.
Is Mordor cordoned off so the villagers just don't walk into it?
Yeah, exactly. No, it is cordoned off so that you cannot just walk into Mordor. That is legit.
Not simply.
It's actually really irritating because now, like, my Able Sisters is currently in Mordor, and I have to walk all the way around. Terrible. Anyway,
I'm just imagining like yellow caution tape. Coming soon.
Mordor.
Dude, one of the things that someone told me recently was that I've run out of custom spaces because in addition to Middle-earth, I also have my D&D basement, and that's taking up all my custom design spots. Someone's like, oh, you put another villager, and then they get more custom designs. They don't. You get a limited number of custom design spots. And so now Mordor's probably going to have like nice rocks or something instead of the volcanic lava grossness that I had planned for it. But we'll see. We'll see. It has been my Twitch community, my new baby is my Twitch community. Some of you, I believe,
you got
have shown up.
You got affiliated like
I did.
Week,
I've been affiliate. So yesterday was my first stream as a Twitch affiliate. Thank you very much. Round of applause, obviously. And so this little community, there's like maybe peak viewership is like 60 people. It's the perfect size. But I've gotten so many donations from folks who are helping me build these things. And my community is called the Fruit Snacks, and they are just 2 C's in Fruit Snacks. And they're just the best. I have the best little Twitch community. So anybody who's listening, if you want to come watch me build Middle-earth in Animal Crossing, I'm on Twitch doing it every day. Most days, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. because the 5 p.m. music is a bop.
It actually is. That's the best time. I am currently on a structured break from Animal Crossing for this week.
What happened?
I'm trying.
Did you go overboard?
I was spending too much time.
Yep, I'm right in that wheelhouse. Definitely endangering my personal relationships.
I'm like, maybe let's just take a little break and not obsess over the turnip stock market for 1 week.
I can't do the turnips. They're too stressful.
Well, I have to say, that was the one most surreal moment for me, is because I have a couple of friends who, due to some sort of pervasive deviant insanity, have gone into like equities trading, and like they talk on Facebook about their big stock investment ideas, and I kind of say, I turn it into some sort of dumb pun, and they tolerate me. That's our relationship. But for a brief moment, that sort of channel of social communication was perfectly mirrored by Animal Crossing Twitter. And I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, but in like a good way, because Twilight Zone, great show, right? So I was down with it.
Until you said it was mirrored, I assumed that your friends were talking about stock investments in Animal Crossing. Like the idea of them doing equities trading in Animal Crossing, be like, well, that's just another thing. Great. I gotta learn how to breed flowers too? Jesus. Gotta be an adult
Can't have
in this
my
game.
nerdy stuff. All you Goldman Sachs guys just keep trouncing on my garden.
Exactly.
Are turnips a Bitcoin yet?
Oh, God.
Not quite.
Not this week, anyway.
Oh, that made tea come out my nose. Thank you.
I've been getting into Sea of Thieves real hard.
Ooh.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, you get to be a cartoonish pirate and go on treasure hunting adventures. And then there's also PvP where other people can show up and ruin a day, or you can go ruin other people's day. But mostly, like it's basically just smacking skeletons with a sword and solving fun puzzles on the high seas. And the game is very, very pretty. And it's just been, but you play it in like little groups of like 2, 3, or 4, and then your ship is either like a small sloop or a big galleon, and you just have a fun time with it.
Nice.
And I played this at launch, and I think it became like free on Xbox Game Pass or something, and
yes.
So it has experienced a huge resurgence recently, right?
Apparently, like I've only been playing like a couple of weeks, but apparently, like back in early April, they had like a big update that added like a whole like PvP arena.
Ooh.
And like more quests and all the and more importantly, more costumes and outfits to try on and collect.
More
That was legitimately the best part of the game.
Well, as somebody who used to publish a pirate fanzine, I approve and I endorse this 100%.
Mm-hmm. I was playing last night with a friend, and we had, our ship full of things, and we're bumbling along in this quest where we can't figure out where to dig to find the treasure chest or something. And then we get wrecked by a galleon, and they take all our stuff, and our ship sinks, and we have to start over, and we're just like, I think we're done for the night, and it's 1 a.m. So yeah, we should have been done hours ago and in bed responsibly. But they messaged my friend, and we're like, hey, we left your quest item on the island. We're not total dicks. And we're like,
you guys, you kill me anytime.
Thanks. We got depressed and went to bed.
Oh.
Sea of Thieves is one of those games that has the sort of emergent quality of role-playing that's sort of unexpected. Ryan tells this wonderful story, but I've heard multiple stories about people who are they'll have somebody come aboard their ship, they'll have a group of 3 friends and then one pug, just a random person who joins their crew, and that person will turn out to be a total asshat.
Oh.
But Ryan told me this story about how he was able to put the asshat in the brig of the ship and then on purpose sank the ship to drown this clown in the high seas.
Yeah, your ship has a brig that you all have to if you want to send somebody to the brig, you all have to vote on it. So it has to be
that's amazing.
High majority. It's this one guy's being a dick. Everybody put him in the brig. But then you can't immediately release them, which is the best part. You can't immediately undo it if you do it as a joke. They still have to sit in there 5-10 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. And he probably also, whoever this player was, they probably also had a huge bug up their butt about metagaming too.
The person in the example that I heard was role-playing along with being a turd that drunkenly got confined to the brig. And then when he realized that they were sinking the ship to drown him, he this is so dark. He begged for his life.
Oh no.
He's just going to respawn right away. But he was really in character. It was very special. Very special.
Wow. Video games.
I'm not video games because we don't have video games in England. We don't have dogs either. Instead of walking dogs, everyone goes out on a bicycle to prove they're exercising.
I'm sure you mean velocipede.
A penny farthing's good sir. And bone shakers.
Or you just ride those big wheel bicycles.
That's a penny farthing, Hayley.
Wait, that's what they're called? Yes, I didn't know that.
Because
big
it's
wheels.
A big old penny and then a little farthing for the back wheel.
What?
Yep.
I've learned so much. See? Never forget that this is an informational podcast.
Always bring some learning. But when I'm not reading exciting books about the meltdown at Chernobyl, which is one of my favourite things to read about, I have been playing Edge of the Empire with my family.
Ooh.
Which is not as great as it sounds.
It sounds great. Just explain what you mean by not great, and then we can let the viewers decide.
Okay, so when I first got into D&D, and the first games I played were with my family, and then I played loads of other games, and the one with my family was always the worst. They were murder hobos completely, and any time they found a bedroll, a camp bed, or any sort of bed, they set it on fire. Literally, I've told this story so many times, but we started our first session and they spent half an hour arguing about skinning horses rather than having a goblin ambush and playing the game.
That sounds like a tabletop game. Yeah.
So, my brother-in-law is massive Star Wars fan. So I'm like, well, here's this system. Let's learn it. Let's play it. Sure. Let's do some Star Wars. And yeah, it's... my sister-in-law is a Wookiee that just smashes stuff up.
Nice.
My brother-in-law is a technician that started... I'm sorry. He found lots of droid parts and said, okay, can I build a droid? I'm like, okay. Roll for it. He had a success. So I said, what part would you like to build? Thinking of maybe he'll build a circuit or a personality piece or something. And he just went, a leg.
This is still my favorite.
So he built a droid leg. Then the next session he built a droid butt. And then they built the other leg. So it was just 2 legs walking around with a butt. And then we get to my partner, who is a protocol droid. I'm not going to say the name because it's not podcast friendly.
Sure.
They stole a ship and he found a wampa rug, so made a wampa romper from it. And so now he's a droid, and he's just wandering around with this wampa onesie. And I just...
All right, so when does it get bad?
I have to try and manage this. Oh, and they reprogrammed an R-series astromech and decided to call it ICUP.
Okay,
That's
so
my favorite part.
I do
want
to hear what your brother-in-law's droid name. When I played Edge of the Empire, my droid name was PP69.
Nice.
So it's the same in all Star Wars games, then I take it.
It's in the manual. You may as well just use it.
It's like a hard-coded constraint in the game system.
PP69 is also not great.
But you know what? It's all about what the droid does with it, with the name it's been given.
It's not about the name of the droid.
Right.
It's about the motion of the ocean. Sure. Yep, that's a saying. Just roll with it.
Good enough. Good enough. Good enough for good old PP69.
Oh, I miss PP69.
Your next D&D character, Warforged.
Yes.
PP70.
It's just the model number. Jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's all it's
Grow
about.
up.
Been long enough. So it was a couple podcasts ago, to paint a picture. Someone in the user community asked a question about whether, if you were a sleep-deprived, insomniac spellcaster, could you just cast sleep on yourself? To which I believe someone recalled the classic Matt adage, just knock yourself out, get to 0 hit points, and you're good. But this little kernel stuck in our head after that episode, like if you could in real life, if you're struggling to sleep, cast a spell, then you could cast any spell. Humans could cast spells. Dogs and cats sleeping with each other. Up is down, down is up.
At least once a month, I write to the group, why can I still not cast sleep?
That would be a useful one.
But I know you've probably seen 8,153 tweets asking about if you could IRL have one spell slot, how would you fill it? But, my assertion is that we do have everyday magic capabilities. I'm sticking with it. And it's something we could talk about. So what I kind of wanted to bring up with y'all today, I think that there are rituals and components and rites and passages that we use in our daily lives, consciously or subconsciously, that can help us achieve extraordinary results, right? I'm sounding sort of motivational speakery, so bear with me. But just like the wizards at the Tolarian Academy, we can share insights and know-how with each other to help us learn a little piece of that IRL spellbook and live a better mage life. Also, The Craft is a timeless classic. You heard.
All right, I want to hear one of y'all's spells so I can kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Somebody else go first.
I have a sleep spell because, for anyone that knows me, I have been an insomniac for most of my life. I struggle so much with sleep. Mm-hmm. But, I finally got a routine. My sleep spell, first, the somatic gestures of yoga. Relaxing bedtime yoga. Totally. Then we have the verbal component of the yoga breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. But no, I have a routine. So I do some relaxing stretching yoga. Then I'll head into bed and I'll check my social media one last time, anything that I need to check, hop on Discord and say goodnight to everybody. And then I am just absolutely into those satisfying YouTube videos. The ones that's people cooking or painting things or...
For me, it's metal being machined.
Yeah, or turning things on a lathe. And I watch those for about 30 minutes and then I'm out. Wow. That does me. And yeah.
Here, you heard it here. You heard it first here,
That's
folks.
Genius.
You can cast sleep in real life.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Those videos are amazing. I can't watch one during the day because I have to lie down. I think I've hypnotized myself into turning one on and go to sleep.
That's amazing. Whatever works for you, man. Like that. I love that.
Yeah.
I have started to adopt this bedtime yoga from Mazz because I also struggle with sleep and nightmares, and I have not been consistently doing it, but when I remember / get myself up to do the sleepy stretching yoga, I generally don't have nightmares. And so every morning when I have a nightmare, I'm like, you didn't do it. You knew that this was going to happen. So I need to do more of that.
I am plagued by both insomnia and nightmares almost all the time. And what used to be my nighttime ritual for the magic rest that I needed was marijuana. However, what I have discovered is that it's legal in my state. Nobody freak out. But it is a...
I'm calling the cops.
It's when... Don't call it, you narc. I have to... I deal with a lot of anxiety these days because of our lovely global situation. And so weed has just turned me into a panic attack machine. So I'm back to utter sobriety. And that means just nightmares. Last night, I had a dream that someone carved up the side of my leg with a sword, and then it healed into what appeared to be layers of hamburger meat that then someone had to peel off as part of like a giant meaty scab. It was awful. It was awful. That's every night. So I would very much be interested in hearing about bedtime yoga if someone could send me a link later on.
We'll hook you up. Yoga with Adrienne. We're big fans of her.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
She's on YouTube.
I do morning yoga with her and then bedtime yoga. Her videos are amazing. They really are. She's got stuff for beginners. She modifies things. And her main ethos is just like, her mantra is find what feels good. So you're doing the position how it feels best for you. You're not having to like twist yourself up into anything you can't do.
Yeah, what's up with that? Like I have done aerial yoga. I used to do it every day for years, and I it was very contradictory to the purpose of yoga, which was relaxation and centering and meditation, and I got those effects too. But I was so hyper competitive with myself, I strongly dislike competitive games. I'm not a big competitive person, but against myself, I'm extremely competitive. So I was always like, I'm stretching. I'm not stretching as far as I stretched yesterday. And I invariably would hurt myself. So I like, I don't know. I always have to be the most yoga when I do yoga. And it's so obnoxious. I want anyone out there who's listening to this who feels that way to stop being the most yoga. Just be enough yoga.
Just enough yoga.
I need to get on like the some yoga trip because I've been waking up the past couple of weeks with just like my back, like I'm just slowly compressing into a singularity. I just need a little yoga.
Just a little.
As
yoga.
As a treat.
Yeah.
Just
As a treat.
just a little nip of it in the evening.
Another thing I will say about the Adrienne videos is like, I could be the same, Kate. It's like I can sometimes try and push myself into the pose. But what she always focuses on is the form, like how you're holding yourself. Is your face relaxed? Like, are you clenching in the jaw because you're trying to do this thing? And I keep coming back to that and trying to align myself rather than push myself into something. And I found that it's works so much better, and I can breathe better, and I'm getting more flexible now and stronger as well.
Awesome.
I've been doing it for like 2 months every day now.
Cool.
It's rad. I love that there's a focus on helping you understand where you're holding tension. I think that is a very valuable skill and very hard to come by for me.
Especially when it's in your face.
Yeah.
That's where I hold my attention, my jaw, and also just like my actual face muscles.
So if I've been working for too long, I look like that like Nemesis character from Resident Evil because all of my tension gets held on one lopsided part of my body, like my right side. So I get like this stilted thing happening, and it's not so good. So I love the concept of having an awareness and appreciation of not just tension, like my muscles are sore or my legs and arms are stiff, but like you said, Haley and Mazz, my face, my chin, my jaw, like those things are really helpful.
Yeah.
Like, I've noticed since I was doing it, how when I sit down and I work on things, like I'm doing my knitting or whatever, I hold my shoulders up very tense. And now I remember to drop them down and take that tension out of my neck. So it's all sorts of places you can hold it. And it's made me a lot more aware of posture, for sure.
Rad.
So my sort of ritual, I don't have a good name for it yet, so we can workshop it if you have any ideas for me. But one of the things that took me the longest with this change was I didn't realize how reliant on my routine I was until my routine was gone. And I didn't know what to do. So I have found some ways to kind of put some new structure and routine into my day, but also to just work on being a little bit more relaxed. And that I don't necessarily have to have every moment of every day planned. So I use a daily planner, and it helps me like figure out what I need to do and what I don't necessarily need to do that day, so that I can kind of like yes, I guess this is true. It is my spell book. Yeah. So in my planner, some things that I've been trying to do is at the beginning and the end of each workday, I like figure out what tasks are the most important tasks to do, so that I don't spend a bunch of time figuring it out throughout the day. And then I've been trying to write like something motivational or something that I'm grateful for or something that I have a goal to do for the next like week to 2 weeks. And that's been helping me sort of keep moving forward through this time. And I think that's actually where some of my motivation to get back to some exercising and things came from, because I was spending time just sort of thinking about what I want to achieve or what I want to work on and what I need to get done. So that's been a source of comfort. If you are a planner person like me, and you're interested, I use the Passion Planners. I love them. And I'm currently using a Passion Planner Daily, which is their new planner, but it has sections for it for personal to-do lists, work to-do lists, like a free space. It's called Free Space to Grow. And then there's like a box for self-maintenance task for the day, a place to write down the best thing that happened, something you learned, your mood, and then today in one word. And then there's also a game changer goals for the day section.
Nice.
It's working for me.
Do you find that it helps you free up time by focusing on the things you want to do? It becomes more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like concrete. It's not like, I have a bunch of stuff to do today. It's I have these things that have to get done. And when I get them done, I can go for a walk or do whatever I want because I've earned that, as opposed to this sort of heuristic thought of, I always have a lot of work to do, therefore I should always be working.
Yeah, I definitely had started to fall into, I work for a tech startup. We are very busy right now. We are very fortunate to be in an industry position where we can help companies adapt to current situations, but that also means that we are busier. And so I replaced my 3-hour commute at first with 3+ hours more work, which was not healthy. And so it's really helped me with my work-life balance a little bit, but it's also, I'm the kind of person, I don't know if this is a little bit of the anxiety part of my brain, or what, but I tend to have a lot of like mental clutter is how I think of it. So, I need to remember to do the laundry. I need to do the laundry. I need to do this task for work. I need to do these other things. But if I write it down and say like, okay, I don't need to do the laundry today. I can do the laundry tomorrow because laundry gets done on Thursdays now. That's part of my new schedule. Once I write it down, I don't have to kind of have that mental repetitive track of everything that I need to do, so I don't feel overwhelmed and things get done.
That's so smart.
I'm basically a Modron.
Yeah. I wish journaling. So one of the things that I've got 2 spells that I've been casting pretty regularly that have been helpful. One is I have been doing this gratitude journaling that my psychiatrist told me to do because I was dealing with a lot of uncontrollable anxiety, and so writing down, it sounds so cheesy, but every day for like 3 weeks, I wrote down, I appreciate blah, and did 10 of those every single day. And it could be anything that I was feeling grateful for. I'm grateful for, I have a lovely home. I have a very supportive fiance. I was grateful for service workers. And sometimes I'm just grateful because I had a super good breakfast. Any little tiny thing, writing that down, it seems like a chore at first, but was extremely, I don't know, the way that she talked about it was reprogramming your neural net to focus on positives and to see the good and the gratitude for things. And I think anybody can do that as long as you're, literate and can write. You're able to come up with 10 things that you can be grateful for no matter your situation. And it does actually really, really help control anxiety. And it was helping me get better sleep, and I need to get back into it. The second thing was, if you are prone to anxiety and depression like I am, one of the things that I learned recently from my therapist was that people who have it either as a product or as a way that a thing that causes the anxiety is we don't breathe as deeply as we should. It's so simple, so simple. But if you have anxiety, chances are very good that you breathe very shallowly and your breath comes quicker than it should. And so lately, I've just been like, when I start to feel that, I know everybody's just like, take a deep breath, calm down. But no, like really focus on your breath for a hot second, really stretch your lungs out to the point where you can feel your rib cage expand, and then let it out. And 100% of the time you will feel better than you felt 2 seconds before. And that has been, it's something that's deep breathing and meditation. And there's all kinds of ways to expand it out, that practice of mindful breathing. But just starting to be like, ooh, the anxiety is really creeping up on me. and really just let that happen. That is an actual little piece of magic that you can do in an instant. And it 100% works every single time. And it seems so obvious, but it's not when you have a messed up brain pan.
I'm going to come back and say yoga.
Exactly. Yeah.
Seriously, there's so much breathing in the videos I do. Everything is done with breath. And honestly, and apart from all the other stuff I've got going on, I have asthma as well. So it's really helping my lungs.
I have an old story and a new story. A long time ago, when I was in school, I had a part-time job in a speech lab. We were training this artificial intelligence thing to better parse the little subsyllabic chunks of speech that would help a hearing aid produce real-time canceling and boosting algorithms to benefit the wearer of the hearing aid.
I'm sorry, you had this part-time job when?
This was when I was a little freshman in college. So
okay, because the way I heard it was like, just in like middle school or something, I had a part-time job.
This is like one of the meat grinder jobs that the freshman, any freshman can do because it's very easy to train. And you can, if you just throw hours and hours of human time at this thing, you will train it to get better. But because it was a meat grinder, I would start to get like a lot of anxiety about going in and doing this work. I had to do it for financial reasons, but I also found that I had to proof everything I did. So if I could get it right, it was a big time saver. And so I started to sort of maybe gamify it a little bit, where I would time myself for how much work I did first pass and proof pass. And because I was a tired teenager trademark who played lots of Magic the Gathering trademark, I was very volatile. Like some of my work was great, some of it was bad. So I developed this little ritual, and I would always go to a local friend's house. I would have one Guinness. I would read for about 20 minutes while enjoying this beverage. And I would read webcomics for 5 minutes. And then I would bike over to the lab. And from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., I would work in 30-minute chunks. So this is like maybe, I don't know if Pomodoro method was out way back in the days of yore, but this was my Pomodoro method trick, where I would sit down, focus for 30 minutes, and every 10 minutes, I would take 5 deep breaths. Because I found that sitting at the computer doing this, what they call prosodic analysis, was so dry, and I would get so strained into listening and looking at the little code that I would build up all this tension. And so just leaning back, taking 5 deep breaths every 10 minutes kept me like super fresh through this whole thing. Whereas before, I would be exhausted after 2 hours. Like it would be like how you feel after getting tattooed for 2 hours. You're just kind of like, yo, I am done. I love you. I love this. I'm coming back, but I am done. It helped me stretch it out. And it was by kind of trial and error. So I don't know if you needed to have I don't think you needed a Guinness to make this work, but it was mostly just...
But it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
It helps.
Doesn't hurt.
It helped me. Yeah. But now, so now when I have like these grinding work tasks, a very different strategy. Like I tend now to play the trick of waking up when like no one can bother you. So like when none of your coworkers can email you. So I'll wake up at like 4 a.m. and I'll have like this big pot of tea that's not super caffeine-y, so I don't get all wired and jittery and eat my own teeth. I can just sort of sit and I can look at a computer without the fear of a whole bunch of emails for people being like, hey, didn't we do this? Or what was this thing going to be? Or did you ever finish that stuff? So that's my current ritual is I go in these little super cycles where for a month I'll do that 3 days a week. And I still like stick by the 30-minute timer. I still stick by the 5 deep breaths every 10 minutes. But also find that time where it can just be kind of like you time and you can focus without the stress of whatever else happens during normal work hours if it's a workish kind of thing. That's my trick.
Yeah, it sounds so wooey, or it did when I was younger. That'd just be like, meditation, yoga, boo. Don't need it. I'm hustling and making money moves. You got to treat that like medicine, man. You really do. Just take that pill, meditate, and do something good for your brain. Otherwise, you'll end up like me.
Before we all left the office, our CTO had started leading a 10-minute meditation at lunchtime, and it was honestly like my favorite thing. And it's still on the calendar, but I don't do it because I'm not being like
but Haley, it's
socially pressured. It's on my calendar, and it says meditation minute at 12:45 every day, and I look at it and I go, maybe tomorrow.
Why don't you all do it on Zoom or something?
It feels weird to like Zoom video each other and then not talk.
There's the mantra.
Oh, I thought it was like a guided meditation.
No, we would just sit and breathe deeply for 10 minutes on the floor in the office.
But now you can just do that over audio.
It's a good point though. Like at this very stressful time where there's a lot of uncertainty, all of these tricks and rituals and spells, which can be supplemented with, like legit prescribed medication because that is valid and important as well.
It's great. I recommend
Exactly. Like legit.
I take a lot.
Take care of your brains. Do what you gotta do.
I would assert you can't beat yourself up over what you think of as poor adherence. I tend to do it. I'm trying not to do it. There is a lot of uncertainty and chaos going on right now. It's best not to beat yourself up for poor adherence on these things. They're good practices, but they're practices. It's like building a muscle, and very few people will start out of the gate with 100% adherence to whatever tricks you're shooting for adopting into your daily life. So be kind to yourself, be accommodating with yourself, allow yourself to take a breath amidst all of the tumult that's going on.
Beautifully said.
Perhaps with that, as I look at, we are ending the anointed magical hour, I might roll into a conclusion.
Do so. Please do.
Do it. That's a podcast.
Do it.
Do it, coward.
Do it, because I need to go and do
it?
my bedtime yoga now.
I dare you.
It's bedtime yoga time. My medication has started to kick in and I am very tired.
All right, everybody start stretching and breathing as loud as you can so we can all hear it.
I'm doing a pose right now.
Kate, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all for joining us on this episode of Insight Check. It's our pleasure to be here and to hopefully bring a smile, bring a laugh, bring an idea that may help or at least amuse. If you enjoyed hanging out with us here, please stop by and leave a comment, rate our podcast, do all those things that people do to help podcasts rise to the top of the mountain. And thank you also for asking questions in our Discord. It's a fun community. We love having it. It's truly an honor that I don't think any of us really expected to have a Discord where people talk to each other, and it's a blessing. So stop by if you want to be blessed, I suppose. We'd also like to thank, of course, Vinsvept for our theme music and the stellar Bernadette Burnham with 3 M's on Twitter for our faces, because faces are used like every day.
Less so these days, but
yeah,
still
you
very
only
important.
need a face about 25% of the time now. But
Well,
That's true.
Yeah, you guys have very hypothetical faces.
you kind of need a face to put the mask on top of.
that's true.
That's an interesting image, but I think you're
Just get a
correct.
bigger mask.
Just cover the whole face. It's just a mask
Hey,
now.
no face. Who needs a mask?
I mean,
Once again, we are not medical professionals, and
yeah, please do not take
True.
this as
Please do
medical
not
advice.
I do not endorse any of my comments on this podcast.
I don't endorse your comments either.
So answering your cues from our collective A's. This
Was.
Insight check. Yay!
Yay!
So,
It's terrible.
Jay, you have to edit that out. That's
Edit that out,
awful.
Jay.
It's gone now. Nobody knows.
Jay, please edit that last bit out.